welcome Cathy Perez into the studio with us. Cathy, you are an expert in the Konmari method, and so this is Marie Kondo's method, and I've watched a bunch of her episodes on YouTube, and you help people, specifically women, reduce stress and anxiety through organization.
Yep.
Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. First, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. But yes, so I am the 159th worldwide certified Konmari organizer consultant, but I'm also a health coach. And so I also encompass all these different modalities naturally so that I can help women understand and create a better relationship with their anxiety and stress. Too many people think that anxiety is like a stepchild or that it's going to go away. No, it's part of our fight or flight system, and so it keeps us alive. Some of us just have too much of it, or rather we don't know how to deal with it. And so through organizing one way, through the Konmari method, that's part of my coaching methodology. Mm-hmm. I help women understand through 3 different components. The second component is the Konmari method, and they're blown away that organizing, even if it's not the Konmari method, just organizing can help elevate your thinking, simply because when you only focus on when everything around you is elevated, meaning like it's supporting you, specifically in the Konmari method, let's say, then you understand that you have nothing to be scared of. And so there's gratitude growing inside of you, and that means that you're going to have more clarity because there's less guilt, there's less feeling of scarcity, you have abundance, and that's important when you're dealing with anxiety.
So is it safe to say that it's almost a mirrored reflection? If you walk into somebody's house, listen, I grew up with 2 older sisters and a mother, and our house was a mess. And girls, I'm sorry, girls have the messiest bathrooms I've ever known. A majority of them, I have to say, a majority of them. But is this a thing where life almost mirrors itself? Like if you walk into someone's home and it's a complete disarray and it's a mess everywhere, it's usually a mirrored reflection of that person's soul and life.
Absolutely, it completely is. And what I love about the Konmari method is that Marie Kondo, took it from organizing being a mundane task, which people don't feel is very serious, and she elevated it to a spiritual awakening. Like literally, it's like cognitive behavior therapy. And it's because you realize everything in the Japanese culture has a soul. Everything around you has purpose, and you give it gratitude because you're using it. And if you don't use it anymore, you give it grace, you give it gratitude, and you let it go with that
It's a
guilt.
life of simplicity.
Can you
Absolutely.
explain more for folks who are watching who aren't familiar with her work? I mean, what is this method?
So the main staple is actually the joy check. And that's why it's so different from anything else. So the joy check, it's a gratitude practice. And in our Western culture, unfortunately, we're not in tune with how gratitude is so powerful. But when you have gratitude floating through your body, fear, anxiety, they can't live naturally.
So I'm just wondering, what are some tips and some pointers so for those women, you work with women, those women who are watching can maybe learn something right now about even just beginning this kind of method?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're not familiar with the method, there are 5 categories. So she's already simplified your life to 5 categories. And they are clothing, they are books, paper, and then there's miscellaneous or kimono, and then sentimental. And they go in that order for a reason because your clothing is on you, so you know if you like it. Then as you work through all of your clothing, then you start to hone that joy check, and then it becomes easier, and then it becomes easier each category. This is your life with paper in the Konmari method. 3 different categories: other, pending, and important. That's it. So how many people use paper as an excuse because their life is in disarray? Happens all the time. Something like this is my actual organizing jewelry that I have hanging in my closet, and it brings me joy because everything I want that's jewelry related or accessories is right here. I don't take 10 minutes to figure out what I want. So it's all about simplifying and realizing that everything has a purpose, but that I can be grateful every single moment. And when you have gratitude, your brain doesn't have anxiety, or it doesn't experience anxiety, and you can focus and you can be productive.
Cathy, can you talk to us, before we let you go, I want you to talk about your concern about how people are just crippled by anxiety. And Brandon and I report on this all the time on this show, especially coming out of COVID. What is that going to look like? There is such high anxiety in the country. It's very concerning.
It's very concerning. And, you know, it's interesting because, again, people don't see how their personal space matters. But if we learned anything from the pandemic, we had to learn that where I live is where I find peace or where I find the most chaos. And so when you take organizing, and it can be, let's just take any method, but once you realize that organizing will bring you focus and more calm, then you realize my anxiety doesn't have a reason to jolt up. I have the ability to organize my life on a personal and a professional level, but that everything is supporting me. And when everything's supporting me, that translates into the Konmari method, which is later on used for decisions. You make decisions based on what brings you joy.
One quick follow-up. If people are going through some real tough stuff, I know I appreciate what you're saying, but someone might be listening thinking, listen, how do I see gratitude in this day? I'm going through XYZ, I'm walking through an addiction, or my child has, you know, all of these issues at school, and you feel so overwhelmed. What is your advice to get to that gratitude state?
I would say what I do, believe it or not, it's as simple as breathing. I have, in my program that I have for women, there's a specific breathing section. Mm-hmm. And it's simple as telling yourself for 2 minutes, I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to let myself get overwhelmed. I'm going to breathe. And that sounds so simple, but it works because when I go from one task to another, I breathe. I have a certain breathing technique. And it's as simple as breathing because when you're feeling overwhelmed, your brain doesn't know what to do next. But when you tell when you're breathing, that's all you're doing, your brain's like, it resets itself.
Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find out more about you?
Sure, the easiest way is I'm mostly on Facebook, so you can just find me on my handle, Cathy Perez.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.